Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the podcast. I am joined by my co-hosts Sky and Cthulhu.
Hey, how's it going?
And we have some special guests here today to talk about some things which I am now fixing on the screen. Sky, do you want to take that lead and introduce the guests?
Yeah, so I'll start off with telling everyone what we're actually going to be doing today. So today's podcast will be based around the invitational qualifiers, which are coming up this Sunday. And there are 4 separate days of event. And pretty much it's going to be best of 3 double elimination. And instead of being all on one day, it's going to happen over those 4 days. And we've got some teams here to talk about just the qualifiers in general. Obviously, there's only one spot for ANZ to make it to that LAN, which will happen sometime soon. And then they will battle it out with the other 3 APAC teams. And the winner will then go to the R6 Invitational, is that what it's called?
Yeah, the 6 Invitational in Montreal.
6 Invitational. Yep. So pretty much today we've got Jackdaddy from CVD, CopperNBack from Tahit, and we've also got Raven, who is from Control, and they were recently picked up just today, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Over to you, Cthulhu.
Alrighty, so first moving on to Jackdad. The first question would be how's so far the prep is going for COVID, and how has the team been doing since the latest roster change with Uni coming in and replacing Rizraz?
Okay, well, it's been a lot of work. You see, we've got like 9 maps or so to go through with the brand new lineup. We've got to go through each map thoroughly with tactics and defenses. It takes a long ass time. So we're just getting through that. It's hard with everyone's availabilities and stuff like that, but it's going pretty steady. I'm personally happy with how we're going. It's all pretty hard also because we have to factor in a new player and learn to play with them in our team. So it's not just strats. We have to factor in Uni and play with him as well, so that he can get accustomed to how we play and how we play with him.
Right. And with qualifiers just almost at the doorstep, with all the teams that have entered so far, what are you kind of expecting to happen with all of the matches? Sorry.
Okay. So I think it's gonna be tough. Like we've got, I haven't looked at exactly who's on at the moment. If there's been a new one since a few days ago, there wasn't that many teams. How many are on now?
There's 12 now.
12? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a pretty big. Well, not too big yet. I thought it'd be bigger, but a diverse pool of teams. I'd say it's gonna be tough. And especially because there's a lot of teams on there we haven't actually played in a long time, and those teams will be working hard and changing their strats and stuff like that since the last calls. So yeah, I think it'll be tough.
I'm kind of interested to hear your perspective on how the roster change within your team, and kind of like we had the big 4 teams, right? Corvidae, Taboo, Athletico, Mindfreak. And there's been some huge changes within every single one of those teams. Obviously, Taboo disbanding, Emo Rin going over to Athletico, you guys losing Rizraz, who's gone to Mindfreak, and Uni coming on for you guys. This is kind of like a major team shuffle for the top end, right? So how do you think it's going to work out, and it's actually going to show up in the coming things? Like we've got now our 4 top teams are down to 3, and those rosters are looking a bit different. What are your thoughts on that overall?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because of the huge changes. The top 4 teams, where there was like not such a clear line between the teams, we were all pretty even. It could possibly change a lot, where there might be one team that's a lot better than the other. We'll have to wait and see. Like we haven't played officially yet, and you don't know how it's going to happen until you do that. So we'll see on Sunday.
Fair enough. And now moving on to Raven.
Yep.
how do you guys feel going into the qualifiers as call it underdogs with Corvidae, Atletico, and Mindfree being like a more rather known and I guess you could call it liked teams?
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. Look, I think it's a really exciting opportunity because we've obviously changed quite a lot since the last real official qualifier being like 4 months ago.
Yep.
Heaps of things have changed. As Jackdad said, like they're going to be playing a lot of teams that they haven't played in ages. And I know a lot of those teams have worked pretty hard. Firsthand, like we've scrimmed a couple of those teams, and it's crazy the differences between now and back then. So we take that in our stride as well. We think we've developed quite a lot since then. With the new team since last week, 2 weeks ago. We've had some really strong scrim results. So yeah, we're pretty confident we'll do well. We just want to go in and give it our crack and see how far we can get.
Awesome. That sounds amazing, and I'm honestly can't wait for the whole qualifiers to start, as that will be, at the very least, quite a show with all of the Pro League level teams coming in.
While we're talking to you, Raven, why don't you tell us a little bit about that .ctl at the end of your name?
Okay, yeah, so today we announced that we've signed with new org. Contracts with Panda had finished up, and while we really enjoyed being with two North American orgs, Bittersweet being the one before Panda, it's just tricky with the communication between time zones. There's a lot of late nights or early starts for me just to meet with management over there and just talk to them about stuff. And also just kind of, I think coming to more events, like going to PAX and just seeing a lot of the Australian orgs and how they represented and that kind of thing, it was kind of exciting. And as a team, we talked about it and we just decided that we'd pursue Australian orgs just to kind of support Australia a bit more, represent Australian org and just kind of grow with them. That was really an exciting thing. So yeah, Control Esports, we're really happy to pick us up. We're super excited to represent them, do well by them, and yeah, really get their name out there. And yeah, so there we go.
I'm curious.
Really. You go.
I just want to say, while we're on the subject of orgs, like I'm curious to hear, since obviously you've had quite a lot of interaction with a couple of different orgs, including some American ones. What is it? I mean, a lot of people are critical of orgs in a scene like Rainbow Six, because obviously Rainbow Six is a relatively small scene, and unless if you're one of those teams that's winning a lot of prize money, which there isn't a lot of, people are skeptical of orgs and what they actually give. So what is it that you look for in an org, and what is it that the org looks for in you?
I reckon it's a relatively individual thing, or it probably changes between teams. My team, personally, we just really like the idea of representing a team, like having a cool logo and just branding and support behind you. It's not just you're running your own thing and you just do it for yourselves. You kind of, when you start doing it for someone else, and in Australia especially, like they're self-made businesses basically. People have put their own money into an org, and I think that's really cool. And like seeing some of the really active managers, so for example Catavase, I think is probably one of the coolest managers I've seen, because he's really active in the community. He's always on Twitter commenting on North American, European, Australian stuff. Yeah, I think that kind of thing's really cool. And for us, just representing people like that and orgs like that it's a real privilege. So even if we don't get money or that kind of thing, it's
all about the sponsors.
You could say
that.
Now moving on to CopperNBack. Obviously, recently you guys have had some roster changes to sort of adapt your team to become an over 18 team, sorry, so that you guys can compete Pro League, Challenge League, and obviously the qualifiers. Do you think that's sort of made you stronger, the same, or weaker?
Probably at the moment weaker in a way, because we've only just made these roster changes. Like we've only brought in like a trial today and taking them into the tournament and seeing how he performs, and he performs well, obviously we'll be very interested in him. But probably like we've kept 4 of the core members from our original roster, and well, with me moving down to sub and finding 2 other cores, it is difficult, and the team synergy isn't going to be there. But hopefully throughout the 2 weeks and the 3 weeks over the tournament that we can become a little bit stronger. But at this current moment, we're just hoping for the best and trying to play together more.
Following off that a little bit, do you think that with these roster changes that your play style has changed much? Obviously, Tahit's known as, or used to be known as, a very aggressive team.
Yes.
Obviously, you guys had strats, but you weren't as heavy on them as some teams would be. You're a lot more gun skill and aggressive play. Do you feel that's changed, or do you think that it's the same?
I feel like with me stepping down and obviously the more aggressive players not in our team anymore, we might be leaning towards a more strategic sense. I'll be acting as a coach and a team captain for the team, so I'll have more time to be able to develop those strats and help the team. But we still do have a frag heavy team, but hopefully we can enforce those strats and be strong with it.
One thing I wonder, one thing I was hoping to ask is, what's it like kind of, it's got to be a little bit intimidating, surely, coming from being an under-18 team. Obviously, you guys did really well. You played all the way up into the grand final of the Cyber Gamer ladder, where you lost to what was then Zeronic. So you guys obviously have a lot of experience at playing, at the high level. But there's a kind of a different ballpark you're entering to here. You're talking about trying to qualify for a LAN in Australia to verse APAC teams, and then a LAN in Canada, and some of the teams on the list, the teams like obviously Jackdaddy's team, Corvidae, who've been to 2 LANs. Yeah. What's it kind of like being the underdog and coming into it?
It's intimidating, at least, yeah. But I with the core roster that we have, I feel that they shouldn't be too afraid, because we've been competing against the bigger names like Corvidae, like in like just the regular tournaments, and seeing how we verse up against them. But obviously the players are going to be nervous, but hopefully not too nervous. Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, I would like to ask all 3 of you, pardon me, a somewhat of a generic question. With Operation White Noise coming in fairly soon, what are you guys' opinions on the new ops, and how could they change or shape the whole competitive side of Rainbow Six? Let's start with you, CopperNBack.
Oh, well, personally, I think the Dokkaebi, as a whole, they will shift the meta initially, but the long-lasting changes that I think will happen will probably be bringing in that Sophia, while the other 2 operators may not fit in too well, especially with Vigil. I mean, his ability, in my opinion, kind of counters itself with that static effect from drones. You can locate him pretty easily. I think we can all agree on that. But I'm definitely interested to see how Sophia's played, and maybe I've heard word of Scythia and IQ replacing an Ashe, and kind of filling that really high utility role while still having that fragger power. But I don't know, it'll be interesting, but my guess is Sophia's going to be one of the stronger operators from that. And obviously the map's going to be cool, but yeah.
With Dokkaebi, there is, at least as far as I know, there is a possibility for the Dokkaebi AQ combo, where you call the phones and then use IQ to give the exact location of the enemies. Do you reckon these kind of combinations for tracking the enemies will be used, or is it too much of a cost for this kind of utility compared to, let's say, picking somebody rather more just an aggressive operator?
I think it'll probably depend on what you need for those 5 operators, depending on the map. But I feel in a good team, they could definitely utilize that Dokkaebi call or hack, and utilize that well to make an aggressive play that can synergize well together. So yeah, that could be a good possibility with the IQ as well.
Right. And go ahead, Dev.
I was just gonna go over to Raven and Jackdaddy. I mean, have you guys played much the TTS? What are your thoughts on the new operators?
I haven't personally played that much of it.
Missing out.
They're not going to be allowed in this next qual, so that's why. But I think they're cool ops. I think Vigil and Dokkaebi, they're fun for the game. I don't think those will be that implemented. They won't be implemented in the Pro League, but Zafia has a chance to because of her utility. She's got heaps of utility. But yeah, I think they're fun ops. I haven't played enough to really comment on them that much, though.
Fair enough.
How about you, Raven?
Yeah, pretty much the same boat as you, man. I haven't played TTS that much for the same reason, because we can't really use them in these qualifiers. But I've seen some pretty cool YouTube videos of the IQ Dokubi combo. I think is really interesting because I feel like for ages IQ's been like trying to break into the meta, but she never quite get there. So I think this could be like a niche thing that some teams might be able to get kind of good at, but it's hard to say at this stage. Yeah, I don't think many pro players will probably try to develop them too much. So yeah, I think it'll change the meta, but I don't think it will be too much initially, at least.
I feel like maybe it's just going to be kind of a more of a case when Ella came in, rather than just picking an operator because they've got some really unique ability, you pick it because they're just a fantastic fragger and they've got something that helps them get more frags on top of that. Like Zofia seems to be the popular one here for, you know, having a good loadout, and I mean, her utility is kind of, it's not particularly creative. It's just like, oh, here's an Ashe plus an Ella, except you can shoot the Ella mines. It's like it's a lot of versatility there, and it's heavily frag. Pardon? And this,
she can self-res. So
I think that's going
to. She has really good weapons.
Yeah. I wonder if the self-res is going to be like a 1 in 100 thing. Like, I mean, in ranked, if you see the points pop up for injure and you know it's a Zofia, you're just going to go for it straight away.
Yeah. Could use that as like a team advantage though. Like if you're a Zofia and you get downed, if you've got someone near for a refrag, like it's a good chance to like counter them before they actually get the frag and then pick up the Zofia. I don't know.
Fair enough. Do you because I might be wrong, but if I'm right, the ops are only banned for the first week of qualifiers, meaning that they will be usable in the next 3 qualifiers. And if that's the case, do you think that we will actually see them being used?
Yes, definitely. Is probably all 3 of them will be used just because they're new, and some players might just think, oh, let's have some fun, or even though they might just like the SMG 12 and all that kind of stuff. So they'll definitely be used, but maybe not as effective as the current meta.
Fair enough. Right.
Yeah.
So staying on the same subject of obviously operators, Ubisoft, sort of what's coming to the game. How obviously we just talked about the operators. Now moving on to the new map. Obviously for the first season, that's not going to be obviously seen in the ESL Pro League map pool. But do you think that it is possible that in later seasons it will make its way into the map pool?
I don't think for a while. Like I don't think Theme Park's going to make it next map pool, for example.
Oh, definitely not.
And I've heard that the new map for White Noise is meant to be quite good, but yeah, I feel like they won't rush it in because I don't know. I just don't think they will. I reckon a couple of seasons at best.
Yeah.
I personally would love to see it. I mean, I'm kind of sick of seeing Oregon and Clubhouse, personally. Wouldn't mind a little bit of variety.
They could just replace those with Favela and Yacht.
Oh, that's excellent. Perfect. That's just what we needed. But I mean, in all seriousness, Theme Park isn't a very well received map from most of the people that I talk to.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's probably gets a little bit more flack than it deserves. But having played just a small amount of TTS on the new map, getting to know it a little bit, it does seem like it could be a highly competitive map. It's got a nice mix of kind of like breachable surfaces. It's got some nice spread out objectives. Me and Sky enjoy doing 1v1s and 2v2s on it just for the lols. And we developed our own personal strats that we were implementing in the 2v2s. Yeah.
Hack grenade strat.
Yeah.
It does, though, give me a bit of a feeling that there's a fair, well, from what I've seen at the very least, there's a fair bit of hatches or vertical play to it, but not that much of floor destruction on it. And that kind of gets me to ponder whether it will be actually that much usable, or will it just be yet another kind of pub map with just nice visuals. Although it does look really pretty.
Yeah.
I have to give it that at the very least.
The lack of floor destruction is a little bit of a concern to me because my personal favorite maps, and I think most of the highly competitive maps, are full of floor destruction. Maps like Border. People love these maps because there's so much floor destruction, there's so much verticality that you can do. Maps like Chalet as well. So, I mean, they went for something a bit different with this new map. It doesn't necessarily have a lot of destructible floor, but what it does have is no exterior. There's nowhere that the defenders can run outside, much to the the discontent of all of those eager Ella and Jaeger mains. But I don't know. I guess we'll just see how that pans out. It's one of those things where you're not going to be able to tell what's going to happen until we get to play it in ranked for a season or more. But I'm optimistic with this one. I think that Ubisoft are going in the right direction by trying to experiment with new things.
Yeah.
Even with new maps getting into map pool, like say if you take Coastline for example, that took a few seasons before it even really got played in comp. Like it was in the map pool, but it was usually insta-bans. And Skyscraper, I think also wasn't played too much initially. Usually insta-ban.
Well, Skyscraper got played a ton by the NA scene right when it was released. It was during the Montaigne strat phase, and they were literally like the strat for every site is like funnel down some narrow hallway and plant behind Montaigne. And then people are like,
Pretty much.
why are we doing this? And then people just started banning it instead.
Yeah. I mean, with all the map pools, I still consider, like, for myself, House as one of my favorite, and everyone else still hates it. But
How can you even say that? I can't even talk to you right now.
Not even for the memes. I'm dead serious. I still like House. Probably just due to the fact that I've been hunting it the whole time and just for the preps.
I don't mind House.
You guys disgust
Good
me.
for the T hunt. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just bringing up the team list for the qualifier on Sunday of everyone that's been signed up. I can't remember if you mentioned this before, but 12 teams so far it looks like. There's a lot of big names in here, and I think it's really interesting. Like you guys were mentioning before, there's a lot of kind of returning names, a lot of teams that haven't been seen for a long time. So I don't know. Like oh, there's the Control Esports logo. Nice logo, Raven.
Thanks, man. Thanks to Hoods for making the logo.
So, I mean, I'll basically just looking to ask, what are the kind of standout teams for you here? And with the format of the bracket being a double elimination, it's a single tournament, double elimination, best of three. This best of three is like, it's not something that a lot of teams have played before, with the exception of Pro League. So I'm wondering how you guys think that's going to pan out, and how you think it's going to favor certain teams, and whether there's just going to be really decisively shut out towards particular teams.
Overall, you go.
Oh no, you go, man. You go. I feel like I've talked too much.
I was just gonna say that it's a lot more fair, I think. So like best of one double elim, like a team could just win one match, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are the better team and they should progress. So having a best of three is more of an even playing field, I guess, for the true top teams to come up. I'd say.
I mean, the top teams will benefit a lot more from a best of three. Like, one of the major reasons for that is because of the mentality and like the mental state of less experienced teams is obviously going to get worse and worse, and they're going to get tilted and more tilted, and they're not going to perform as well in the best of three, just because they don't play them that often.
Yeah, that's true.
On that note, how would you go about countering that and trying to stay in the game, Copper, as kind of, I mean, as one of the less experienced teams compared to a Pro League team?
Well, it's just a matter of realizing what the big goal is of, succeeding and trying to win, rather than like the little rounds. There's been a lot of moments, I'll admit, where the teams, they start to get fired up and tilted, but then someone has to step in and they have to be like, calm down. Just focus on the next round and focus on the next games, because there's so many more rounds, and it's hard though. It is.
Yeah, and getting back to the topic of best of threes versus best of ones, Deal's actually made a very, good point that best of three does mean that the better team will usually win. With best of one, they can be kind of fluked.
Yeah.
Like you would have like a one moment wonder where you can just rush out, just catch the other team off guard and just absolutely bulldoze them, and then let's say closer to the end of the map, and you would have the second team picking it up, but it's just too late. One map won't be enough.
I think it also demonstrates versatility because it's multiple maps. Like you could just really good on one map, but then trash on the rest, and then that'll expose you in a best of three. So it shows teams that are kind of well practiced.
Yeah, there could be some random pug team versus Corvidae on Corviday's worst map if they even have one, and the pug team could beat Corvidae, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the pug team's better. So a best of three where both teams get to pick their map, obviously as stated, it really does, in my opinion, make it a lot more of a fair playing field rather than more of just veto luck and, oh no, they got our worst map, what can we do about it?
It definitely makes the veto ban phase a lot more interesting and a lot more multi-level, because, I mean, typically you're just okay, we don't like that map, ban it. We don't like that map, ban it. We don't like that map. But, you've got 3 maps you've got to leave there at the end. So in the Pro League ban phase, you only get 3 bans and 1 pick. And there's a lot less that you can actually ban, and you have to be prepared to play something. For example, if you're versing a team that's really good on, for example, Oregon, and you don't really want to play them on Oregon because they're so good at that map, but you also hate Coastline and Skyscraper like so many other teams do. You got to ban Coastline and Skyscraper, and you want to ban Oregon, but you also don't like Chalet, and you're not very comfortable, so you want to ban that as well, and then you end up with the mind games and the ban phase, the complexity of it. Just, I find that brings so much more to the game as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'm one of those nerds who goes back watching the Pro League Twitch VODs and actually rewinds before the ban phase because I want to see that part.
Alright. What else do we have on our agenda? Devmata.
Well, I mean, the main topic of this is the main topic of the podcast tonight is the invitational qualifiers, of course. And, I mean, you know what, I'm going to bring this to Jackdad because you're the one here who's actually participated in a LAN. In fact, you participated in 2 LANs. And if you guys come out on top of this over the next few weeks, you're going to be going to another one in APAC, and then if you win that one, you kind of got your work cut out for you. You're going to be playing, not Eins, fortunately for you. Or been there, done that, right?
The flashback's already happening.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up a traumatic experience. So Irons obviously already have their place, so they won't be competing. But I mean, you could be playing even a team like Mantis, who obviously did so well versus our fellow NZ team Mind Freak. And even going up in that, what do you think? It's kind of you got to kind of. I'm assuming that you kind of look at it at a kind of like a numbers game. You look at just for the qualifiers, we need to come in first in ANZ. That's like a X% chance. Then if we make that, we got to go to the APAC finals. That's like a something % chance, and then we got to go. Then we get to go to Montreal. How are you feeling about your chances in getting into each one of those milestones?
Well, I'm sure it's just like everyone else's. Everyone has the same chance. It's well, to an extent, I guess. If you put in the work, you'll get the results, right? So, in the top teams of each region, I'd say everyone's gun skill is similar. So, what makes you come out on top is how you play together, your strategies, and team synergy, stuff like that. Because everyone can aim at this level. So that's why I think everyone has the same chance, because it's about the work you put in together. And mostly that can be changed. So you can improve on yourself and your team. But talking about our chances personally, it is, it's pretty scary thinking about it. How much work we have to put in and how many teams we have to verse to get to the top.
Yeah, that's something else that I wanted to talk about. One spot, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? Right now, or I guess we'll go off old results. So 2-3 months ago. These obviously aren't updated because we haven't really had any real competition from the top contenders for a little while. But one spot, and if, as I said, if we go off like whatever the results were 2-3 months ago, 3 teams that could possibly take that spot, plus everyone else, and I'm sure that there are some underdogs that are just going to surprise everyone.
Yeah.
Like, that's just absolutely ridiculous to think about.
That's good. I like it. I like the concept.
I'm actually really
Healthy
excited.
sauce.
Yeah,
Me too.
I think it's going to be really close.
And I do hope an underdog does beat a top team, not us.
Not you guys, but someone else. Well, I mean, we've
Man,
talked.
we'll take it. We'll take it. It's fine.
So that's it about underdogs. I'm curious to hear from each of you guys. I mean, even you guys, Skunk Thulu, who do you reckon is going to take the whole thing after these cups? I mean, without too much bias towards your own team, looking at, you know, the rosters, looking at the recent changes, looking at the factors of team synergy and the experience, who's going to make it to the next APAC LAN? Who wants to go first? Who wants to volunteer their opinion?
I'll go first. I don't want to put a top team, but I do want to say that I've got a really weird feeling that we're going to see Control Esports really. It's not biased, like I'm being real. I told Deb this yesterday.
Yeah, it is.
But I've got like a weird feeling that they're going to like do something. Just like I've seen you guys grinding in Discord like every night. Like I don't know. There's just something weird. I feel like you guys are. I don't know. I feel like you guys are going to do something pretty great. And then before I'm in Shifty's next meme video.
I'll make sure we get that last year, man, so you can feature.
Yeah, I mean, way to put up the pressure, Sky.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sick on Sunday. Sorry, Sky.
Well,
Wow.
all right, Raven, while we've got you in the spotlight, tell us your prediction.
Sweet. Look, I think honestly, Corvidae will probably take the top spot, but as we keep saying, there's a couple of promising underdogs. Based off scrims, Cynics and like the Onyxian team, I think that's what they're called now. They've had some pretty strong performances, and they've got like a similar feel. Like, you know how some teams just feel particular ways. They feel like they're similar to some of the top teams that we've scrimmed before. So yeah, I think they might push the top teams quite a bit. So I think that'll be interesting.
For me, I have kind of two sides to myself. The fanboy in me screams that I want to see all of the big teams once again and battle it out, and actually show what's up and who can be the best. Being like Corvidae, Mindfreak, Atletico at the very least, and have Control as well come in after all of the grind and after all of the planning that you guys did. I would really want to see the kind of end result. And the kind of caster side for me is wants to see even more underdog teams come around, as that would just show the variety of aspects of just the ANZ team coming back into that kind of APAC LAN. And yeah, I'm hoping for big wins as well as big upsets. I'm really excited for the upcoming qualifiers.
I hope we don't get too many 5-0s, especially not for Obsidian.
Oh.
We don't want that.
Please no. Dev, actually, I'm holding you accountable to that.
Oh, damn it.
If
Now I've
that's
said it's
going
going to
to
happen.
happen.
Oh, God.
If
Why did I
that's
even
going
mention
to
it?
happen, I'm gonna blame you for your donuts.
Now move on to Jackdaddy. What are your predictions?
So we're not allowed to say ourselves.
Oh, I mean, you can. You just got to give a justification. Got to explain it.
Alright. Well, first of all, you can't win if you don't believe you're gonna win.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to say we're gonna win because I believe my team can do it. It's not anything against other teams because I think they'll all do great. I hope to see underdogs come on top because have we really seen that before? I don't think so.
Oh.
And I know for sure that a lot of these teams, like Raven's team, have been practicing so much, and I want to see that result. Yeah, I hope everyone will do well.
What are your thoughts, Copper?
Well, I mean, like Rainbow Six is a game that can go either way pretty easily to a team. So the chance for an underdog to come up and beat the bigger teams is good, and I hope that maybe a team to Heat, maybe they can do it. But just due to that, like the best of threes and the experience from Corvidae, most likely I think Corvidae will come out on top just because of that past experience and just veterans of the qualifiers and lands and all that. So yeah.
Well, I'd say even like you guys taking one map off one of the top teams is a great achievement, and going forward from that, you can always still improve. And sounds like, was it your team? Was it recent roster changes to make you guys a lot better?
Yeah,
so
very recent. Yeah.
So I'd say within time, you guys will improve more and more.
Hopefully, I mean, the best thing that we can take from this tournament is that experience and watching those VODs and learning.
Yeah.
And trying to get better as a team so we can, in the future, hopefully compete at a higher level.
One thing I've got to say is that I'm really happy that we've got the qualifiers as like a big cup before the Pro League's next Pro League qualifiers, because we're seeing so many teams step up and say, look, we're here, we're ready to qualify for Pro League, because we obviously, for so long, like this is ever since, basically the start of Rainbow Six and ANZ, it's been like a couple of teams dominating, and there's been such a huge skill gap. And then with the last Pro League, I mean, a lot of those teams don't exist anymore. And now we've got all these other teams stepping up. Obviously, Control to Heat, they're saying, look, we're all 18, we're here, we're going to compete, and we've been doing well so far, and we believe that we can compete in these invitational qualifiers, for which is only one spot. This is a really tight competition. You've got to go really well to actually get somewhere from this. But then after that, even if you don't make it, even if every team other than one isn't going to make it, so all those teams will be coming into the start of next year saying, look, we're here to come in these Pro League qualifiers, and I think we're going to have a much closer set of teams, and I'm really keen. I just think that we need teams that stick together and stay solid, because it's teams like that that actually build up into great things, into going to lands like Corvidae and Mindfreak and Atletico. These are teams that have gone to lands because they've stuck together, and they've been roster changes here and there, but it's sticking together and improving over time that makes the biggest difference. I mean, you can have 5 of the best fraggers in the world, and it wouldn't matter if they don't stick together. You're not going to get the best team in the world.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about the experience and just developing that team synergy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, I think we're about to ready to wrap up. I think we've covered most of the topics that we intended to, and I'm really happy that we got to kind of get a little bit of an opinion coming out from each of you guys. Surprised to hear, I mean, not in a negative way, Jackdad, but surprised to hear that you've got a lot of support from the rest of the panel for Corvidae. Everyone's cheering you on, so you got it. I think every single one of the guests said Corvidae for top, so it's gonna make you feel good. Yeah. I mean, I wish the best to all of the teams competing. Corvidae, Mindfreak, and Atletico have a lot to prove, being the top dogs from the past. Particularly interested to see how Atletico will go, obviously, with their recently picking up Emorin, who's one of the best fraggers in Australia for sure. And obviously not making the last land, so we haven't seen a lot from them recently. I'm just really keen to see how everything goes. We've got a lot of casts set up. We've got, I think all of the main casters are casting. Sky, myself, Cthulhu, Amphley, Monkey Fist, and of course Elastic. Now he's got a PC. So super excited. We got production value here. Don't worry, it's not going to be like the Brazil land. I mean, I didn't say anything, nothing.
Oh.
Just quickly while we're here, I'm going to plug obviously Sunday. So for any of you guys that don't know, Sunday the 3rd of December, so this upcoming Sunday at 1 p.m. AEDT time will be the beginning of the qualifiers, and you can catch those streams on R6ANZ, R6ANZ2, and then there will also be personal channels which will be posted on the day, most likely in announcements or maybe in streaming YouTube, text chat. So make sure you guys come out to that, and obviously I believe it's the next Sunday, and then the Saturday and Sunday after that one, and that will be so this Sunday, next Sunday, Saturday and Sunday after that to make up 4 cups, and then at the end of the last or on the last Sunday, we will have a victor, and yeah, I'm really hyped for it. Honestly, I'm just so hyped to finally have more competition.
So you better tune in to all those matches.
Damn right.
Thanks, Cthulhu. We needed that in the podcast. We needed a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
Clipped right now.
I live that stuff.
Any last words? Any of you guys before we wrap up? Didn't mean to sound so dramatic there.
No, not really. Just big thank you to obviously Raven, Jackdaddy, and CopperNBack for coming on. I know for some of you
Thanks for
guys
having
it's
us.
pretty short notice, but we do thank you guys for hopping on, and obviously talking about the qualifiers.
Thanks for the invite.
Happy to be on it.
We'll be back very soon with another podcast. Obviously, I'm just going to plug Stream Manager Monkey Fist has been doing a great job making sure that we've got as much content coming to the community on this channel as possible. So I just want to say he's been doing a fantastic job. He has been running a lot of casted 10-mans from the R6TM Discord, which is a fantastic international Discord where you can get matches with anyone. And he's also been doing a lot of casting of the Wrecked Recruit Challenge, which is 5v5 Pug Recruit Only Challenge, which is absolutely hilarious, and you guys should definitely sign up for it because it's a lot of fun. And seeing a bunch of shield recruits running around. Oh, by the way, it's tactical realism, so like everyone looks the same, and there's no player icons, so you're like running around, you don't know who you're shooting. It's great. Would recommend. So tune in basically most days of the week. We're going to hopefully have some stuff up on here. I know there's been lots of CG ladder matches happening as well. Obviously, Tuesdays at the CG Cup. So, stay tuned. Keep your eye on this space. Follow it. Yada, yada, yada. All the usual things you're used to people saying at the end of videos. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
See you
See you
guys.
later.